Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are doing well. In this video we are going to be trying to get this Suzuki GS750 right here running. Now if you didn't watch the previous video, I'll give you a quick little recap. I bought this bike actually a couple of months ago, but in about 3 weeks I will be going to Wheels and Waves. And I really want to have a cool bike there, of course, so we're going to try and modify this chop in 3 weeks. So let's get straight to it. Alright, so this is the bike that we're bringing to Wheels and Waves. Like I said, 1977 Suzuki GS750. But it's got a weld-on hardtail, as you can see. It's quite a mix and match of different bikes and parts on this thing. It's got the lowers of a GS750, but the inners of a Harley Davidson Ironhead, and the triple trees, headlights, risers and stuff like that from that as well. This is a 16-inch rear spoked wheel. GS750's had 18-inch, I believe, so not sure where that wheel's from. The chain is definitely also different from that as well, but as you can see, basically everything on this bike has been modified, so it's quite custom. Previous owner said it was running, but they just parked it, and that's the reason that it's not running anymore. One thing that I did already notice is that oil is definitely low, but hasn't been leaking so far. So hopefully hopefully it's just low and it hasn't drained all out of here. I guess we'll find out. So the first thing I want to do is actually put a little bit of oil in here. After that, we'll hook up a battery to it because there's no battery in here anymore. And then we'll see if the bike starts smoking and turning into dust. Alright, so obviously if we get this bike running, I want to give it a proper oil change and oil filter change as well, of course. But not gonna waste the oil and filter on an engine that is could be blown, because I really don't know what the status of this engine is. So just gonna add it with some oil until I see the level somewhere in the middle. If we get it running, or at least somewhat, then we'll worry about putting oil in there and stuff like that. And for now, just add some oil to see what happens. Didn't need that much, it's already there. Add just a little more just to be sure. Like that. So let's see if we can pump some of that oil around. It feels like the bike definitely still has some compression, so that's feels and sounds pretty good. Oil level doesn't really seem to be dropping, so I'm guessing that's good for now. Next up, I think we'll clean the carbs. Those are usually really dirty. Not even gonna bother and try and starting it this way. We'll just clean the carbs right now, get that out of the way, and then we'll put them back on the bike. Alright, so already know that the Suzuki doesn't have a battery in it, so we're going to take the battery out of the police bike. Pretty sure this one is fully charged. So we're going to take it out of here and put it in there or somewhere next to it to give the bike some power. So let's take this one out. Alright. Pretty big battery, should definitely have enough juice to get this engine running or spinning. After we hook up our battery, first thing I want to do is, of course, is whether we have any short circuit in, any smoke coming from anywhere. But assuming that's all good, I actually want to do a little bit of a compression test. So I'm going to take all the spark plugs out. We'll do that compression test. If that's well, sort of in the ballpark of okay, then we'll put the carbs back on and see if we can get it running. Not expecting to get very high compression numbers. Engine's cold and has been sitting for quite some time, so I'm not expecting too much, but if there's one cylinder off completely from the rest, we'll know that that's probably a problem. We just want to give it a quick little check and see what we got. So we're going to take all the spark plugs out and we'll see what happens. These are our spark plugs, or the ones that were in there. And as you can see, 1 and 2, so 1 and 2, those are wet and very black looking. These are also pretty rich, but definitely looking a bit better. I'm not really sure why these are wet, but they do smell like gas instead of oil, so that I guess that's good. Maybe when earlier I used the Kickstarter to pump some of the oil around, some fuel was left in the carbs and got on here. Not 100% sure, to be honest. All right, let's hook our battery up and do a quick little compression test. Hey, that sounded good. All right, engine's moving. All right, so the threads on my compression tester seem to be a little bit damaged, so it doesn't want to easily go into the engine. I think the thread of the spark plugs is way more important than doing a compression test, so I'm just going to put them in until it doesn't feel comfortable anymore. So I have it in right here. Let's crank the starter, let's see what happens. Yeah, okay. So we're getting a super low reading, but I have a feeling we can just feel the wind blow right here. Let's check that out. Yeah. All right, so compression testing seems to be a little bit of a fail. Not too worried about it, so we're just going to move on to the next thing. I am going to put new spark plugs in. In my experience with these old bikes, putting new plugs in always seems to really help the engine. And because of course we want to get this thing running, we're going to help it as much as we can. So we cleaned the carbs already, of course. Gonna put some fresh plugs in there as well. If I can get the cap off. There we go. Just gonna put 4 new plugs in. Put the carbs back on. See if we can get this thing running. There we go. All right, so there should be ethanol-free gas in here. I checked the gas tank. It looked clean from the top, so just gonna trust the previous owner for a second. Very unwise to do, but I'm just gonna guess it's good. So we're going to open the tap. First gonna check whether we get any leaks. So far 0 leaks, that's good, but got a feeling it'll take a little longer. All right, no leaks. I guess we'll just put the choke on. Try to get this thing to run. All right, so I'm actually not going to try and have this bike, even if it starts not running for too long. That's because of the oil change and the oil filter, of course, but also because our battery is resting on the exhaust. Don't want our expensive battery to melt, of course. So if we get it running, we'll just have it for a couple of seconds until this, well, gets slightly warm, I guess, and then we'll cut it out. And then we'll have to figure out something else to put our battery. Nothing left but to just do it, I guess. There you go. Damn. Well, it runs. Still a little bit smoky. Right, so obviously, as you can see, it's running. It's running pretty good. One of the exhaust gaskets is definitely leaking. We're gonna take the exhaust off anyway at some point, so it's not that big a deal. And as you probably also heard, it was idling on three and a half cylinders, I would say. The fourth cylinder, the cylinder right here, has been hesitating quite a bit. Once you give it throttle, it immediately opens up. And you can hear when you're revving it that it's definitely on all four, but idling a little rough. It's also got the 2x2 exhaust, so I guess that would make it a little different, a bit more used to the 4x1 type of exhaust. But so check the spark plug, and compared to the other ones, it's a little bit too clean for my liking. Already checked the float level. The float level is actually great on this carb, so we know that's not the problem. So I'm thinking one of the jets probably still got some stuff stuck in it. So that means, unfortunately, we're going to have to take the carbs off again. We're going to clean that up. We'll put it back on the bike, just try and start it up again, see if we get it to run on all four. Let's do it. All right, so we opened our carb up, and just as I was expecting, the pilot jet was actually completely clogged. Which makes total sense, because it wouldn't idle, but it would, when you would rev it, it would run on that cylinder as well. So that pilot jet was just gunked up. So we cleaned it up. It's, let's see, yeah, I can't show you, but it's clear now. So we're going to put it back in. Whilst we have it here, I think I'm just going to check the other jets again. I thought I cleaned those, but probably not good enough. So we'll check the other jets really quick as well. We'll put it back on the bike, see if it'll idle on all four. Let's do that. All right, carbs are back on. Clogged jet is cleaned up. So let's see whether it'll run on 4 cylinders. Actually going to crack the garage door and like that. And wear some hearing protection, because this is ridiculously loud. All right, let's do it. Fuel on. Guess we'll choke it for now as well. All right, here we go. All right, so it needed a couple of seconds to pick up, but once it did, it responded fine. It got exactly as hot as the rest of the other exhausts. Idle's still a little rough. but sounds very cool, gotta admit that. But I'm not too worried about it. Definitely will need to do some adjusting and stuff like that, but I'm not going to do any adjusting now with these crusty old pot filters on here. So actually what I want to do next is actually change the oil on the oil filter. Now because the bike is super low, we got to figure out a way to actually catch our oil with our homemade oil catch can. But seeing how the exhaust is already leaking anyway, and it was gonna come off and take this hideous heat wrap off, I think I'm just gonna take the entire system off so we can shove this thing underneath here, catch the oil and the oil filter, refresh it, and should be good. Alrighty, let's get these pipes off of here. Gonna make me work for it, huh? Alright, so the exhaust is off, and there's something that I want to show you on this bike. Because I don't know whether this immediately means game over, but it's way too dark, of course. Let me get the light. That's soaking wet. That's not supposed to be that way. Yeah. I'm hoping maybe a valve got stuck or something, and that's why there's some oil there, but the other ones are clean. We're still gonna give it an oil change, an oil filter change, because that needs to happen no matter what. But I'm really hoping that comes back around, because otherwise we already have a very little time, but if we have to fix something like that, I'm not really sure that we can get that done in 3 weeks, besides all the other stuff that I bought for the bike. So fingers crossed, and hopefully it works itself out. I guess we'll find out. So I just showed you the first cylinder and the oil that was there. I actually did a quick little compression test, and I compression tested this cylinder as well. The compression was the same. Hopefully it was just stuck or something. If that's not the case, either we drop the project or we find an engine for cheap somewhere. In 3 weeks, with all the other stuff that I have to do, I will not have time to fix this engine. So hopefully that was just it. And we can just continue, and it'll clear up on its own. If not, guess we'll have to think about what other stuff we could do. For now, we're just gonna drain the oil out of here, and we should be good. Right, so we drained out all the old oil, replaced our filter, crusher rings as well on the lid of the oil filter, and on the sump nut right there as well, so that should be good. Oil filter came with 2 gaskets. Wasn't able to figure out where this one should go. I'm guessing how these filters are super universal, so I'm guessing that's probably just for another bike, but if I'm wrong, do let me know. Bike should take 3.4 liters, as it says right here. So we'll put that in there. Maybe a little less to be sure, because there's always something left. Something around that. Alright, so I just went to my regular maintenance shop, or the shop where I actually buy this stuff to do my maintenance. Unfortunately, it didn't have any exhaust gaskets. Those will be in next week, so we'll pick them up then. But I did pick up a battery for this bike. Should fit in here just fine. I'm a little bit insecure about the state of this engine, but I don't want to give up so easy. I'm just hoping that one of the rings or valves or whatever just got stuck, and that's why there was oil in cylinder 1 and it was smoking that much. So what I actually want to do right now is put it back together, even put the pipes back on. Take for a quick test ride. I'm expecting to have it smoking at first, but hopefully that'll eventually clear up. The exhaust is going to be leaky, or you're going to hear it. That's just kind of is what it is right now. Those bolts all were super loose, so maybe they just weren't tightened down enough, so I guess we'll find that out. So I'm going to put the battery in, gonna put the exhaust back on, try and fire it up and take it for a quick little spin. Alright, so before we put the exhaust back on, I'm quickly going to try to get this heat wrap off. This heat wrap has like this fiberglass in it, which if it gets in your skin really itches, so I'm wearing these gloves and got my sleeves rolled down to prevent the worst of it. It's still gonna give you some itches, but hopefully a whole lot less. This heat wrap is just a rust wrap really. If you want your exhaust to rust, you should definitely put some heat wrap on it. Alright, we're back from our little test ride, and that unfortunately didn't go as good as I hoped that it would. The engine is simply just not performing very well. It's still very much smoking. The smoke is only coming from our left exhaust, so that's probably still that cylinder 1 that's acting up. That's quite unfortunate. The engine is in this kind of weird place where it's too good to simply get rid of, but definitely also too bad to properly use. So I'm not really sure how we are going to fix that. I am looking for spare engines in the meantime, so if I can find a good deal, we'll definitely do that. If not, we'll fix the engine. It's just what it is. In the meantime, we'll definitely keep on working on the bike. I still have a bunch of stuff planned for this bike. I still ordered a bunch of parts that are about to come in, and already got a bunch of parts for this bike as well. One thing that I really want to fix on this bike or make for this bike is an exhaust system. A couple of reasons for that. The most definite main reason is that this exhaust system is extremely loud. It's way louder than just your average straight pipe. It's kind of embarrassing, to be honest, when you're working on the bike and the entire neighborhood can hear what you're doing. And I also really don't enjoy riding the bike for the 10-minute, 15-minute ride that I did, my ears were ringing for quite some time. So we're definitely fixing the exhaust. Besides that, I really would love to add a sissy bar and different seat, handlebars, do some other stuff to the front end, gas tank, bunch of stuff. So we'll definitely keep on working on this bike, and I got a lot of cool stuff planned for it. Just not sure whether we can take it to Wheels and Waves because of the way that the engine's acting up. Like I said in the previous video, there's a backup bike. There's actually multiple backup bikes, one of which is the KZ1000P, the police bike that's been in the background of many videos before. So yeah, kind of a sad note to end the video with. I do hope that you enjoyed watching it. If you did, I hope you'll consider subscribing. For now, I want to thank you very much for watching, and I'll definitely see you at the next video. See you.